Right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're live today with Dr. Nadine Haram, founder and CEO of Proximie. Dr. Haram, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course. So we're excited to learn more about you, Dr. Haram, your company Proximie, and also we're excited to learn how Proximie is augmenting surgical expertise to improve patient outcomes. So thank you again for making the time to share with us.
No, it's great. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to sharing our journey so far.
Awesome. So I think so far we have one member, SVG members joined, but as people, I see someone else has joined. So as you all join, if you have any questions for Dr. Haram throughout our conversation and the presentation, feel free to drop it in the ask a question box or in the chat, and I'll make sure that we get that question directed to her. Dr. Haram, before we get into the details of the business model and your raise, can you tell us a bit about your background and what led you to building Proximie?
Sure. So my background is surgery. I've been a reconstructive plastic surgeon now for over 10 years. And really, I experienced firsthand a lot of the challenges that we were facing in surgery. So challenges around variation in care, challenges around variation in access, and challenges around variation in outcomes. And what I started to realize, and I'll sort of share this picture, is we have fundamental challenges in terms of how do we scale surgery and surgical expertise to everywhere that it's needed. And the reality is surgery for a long time seemed to be everyone's problem, but also no one's problem. But surgery is an issue that affects everyone at some point in their lives, whether it's health systems, health payers, clinicians, healthcare workers, but even individuals in terms of their families as well. And a recent study in the US showed that you're likely to have around 9 procedures within your lifetime, no matter how minor or major that is. And so really what it calls for is ensuring that every single patient gets the best care the first time, every time. So as a surgeon, I was incredibly frustrated with this variation, the fact that you could be at one hospital and have a very different experience and different outcome than another. And there's enough literature to prove that variation happening at a surgical level. And as I started to look at this more closely, I started to recognize that the challenge was more than just the issues of the variation. It was this growing supply and demand mismatch in terms of expertise available to deliver the care that is needed, especially as we look to surgery, we're sort of subspecializing more and more. And compound that with the fact that there's a plethora of new devices coming to the market every single day. And we need to sort of marry up, how do we ensure that we are delivering the best care every time, and ensuring that we're delivering and deploying all these new devices in a safe and effective way. And I started to think about how we would manage to do this beyond physically co-locating and beyond the challenge of actually getting to someone's OR to see how they do things and how they perform procedures, to learn and able to go back to our own systems to be able to do that. And so what I wanted to do is really think about how can we in a very unified way try and address this. And really what it called for is the ability to leverage technology and combine that with the best of human expertise to deliver the care to patients. And so what we wanted to look at is how can I myself force multiply my expertise into every operating room and ensure that everyone else could do the same. So we could try together collectively crowdsource our expertise to deliver care to every single patient. And really that drove me to sort of think about delivering and preparing and creating a platform, a software platform called Proximie. And really what Proximie is a software that allows clinicians, by using any internet connected device, to virtually scrub in, to virtually reach into clinical settings, to collaborate in real time and deliver that care to patients that's needed. And what's really special about what we do is that we are completely device agnostic. That means we can use any device, a simple phone or tablet to a more sophisticated robot that's available in a hospital. We have the component of the live, so in real time, I can actually dial into an operation and reach in, as you can see in this picture. But also every single interaction can be tagged and stored into a library as we start to crowdsource the knowledge and share that expertise. Because what we're trying to do is to bring connectivity, a multi-sensory experience by leveraging augmented reality and artificial intelligence, and from that derive unique insights that deliver best care to our patients. Our platform is also HIPAA and GDPR compliant and has brought together a lot of these components at very low bandwidth. And we can do this at around 4 to 5 megabits per second. I'll show one video and then I'll pause because I think the video will really demonstrate what the solution does. And to give a bit of context, this is a surgeon in one part of the world working with a surgeon in another hospital. And what they're working through is a really complex colorectal cancer surgery. And he's able to virtually reach into the operation and work with her through this.
Basically, all you have to do is just to go through here now, along this line. There will be the right branch of the middle colic in there, and there might also be a vein a bit further lateral. But that's okay, you can just take them where they come. So if you go...
So what you can see here is that this doctor is simply at his desk using an internet-connected device, less than $100 webcam, and he's able to virtually reach into her operation with very little, if any, noticeable latency. He's able to bring in any DICOM images or relevant information to that procedure. And this is all visually seen within her robot in real time with no latency noticed. And the fact that that can be done at scale around the world is significant when we think about surgeons and how they work together. And as a final picture before I stop, what's really important also when we think about surgery and the operating room is how do you bring together all the knowledge that's needed for an operation? You might want a close-up view, a wide view. You may want relevant imaging and scans that are going to tell you about the operation, help drive you through that operation. And you may also want to be supporting the scrub nurse on the scrub trolley. And so Proximie can bring up to 4 full HD feeds at the same time with no latency, with all the imaging required to be able to deliver this operation everywhere in the world. And I'll stop just briefly here. There's obviously a lot more I could talk about, but I'll wait for any more questions on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you for sharing all of that. And I'm excited to kind of delve deeper into that once we get into the business model and the customers and all that. But thank you for walking us through that. I'm curious to learn more about the team, learn more about the Proximie team and what expertise you all bring to the Proximie technology and building this business.
That's a great question. I think what I'm most proud of actually at Proximie is the amazing team that we've built. What's great about our company is that we are so mission driven. We really care at our core about making a difference and about really fundamentally changing surgery and seeing how we can improve the delivery of care, how we can improve the sharing of expertise. We also understand very much the ecosystem that we're working in. And we know that it's not just about hospitals, it's not just about surgeons, and it's not just about device companies. It's about the combination of all three that are going to deliver that care that is needed. And so my team consists of individuals, and I'll just share a slide quickly to show, but over 150 years of experience, really, if you bring it all together, of individuals from the medical device industry across multiple sectors, but also those who have real deep tech stack knowledge around the technology. So to give you an example, Ed Cardiff is our head of product. He actually used to run all the low latency tech trading platforms at Goldman Sachs here in the UK. So he really understood security. He really understood complex systems, and then he went and retrained to be a doctor. So not only does he have the technology knowledge, but also the ability to understand how it's relevant within a healthcare practice. And Marcus, our VP of engineering, has over 10 years of experience with building multi-sensory platforms for the fashion industry. And so bringing that knowledge of a product design, product experience into healthcare is incredible. We also have a talented team from healthcare, from research, from compliance, and also from global health, as we work to really bridge the gap within surgery across multiple health systems and across global health as well. And we're a team of about 40 now, but growing rapidly and really, really passionate. One of the best things that we do on our Monday stand-up call every Monday is that we have a mission and vision story. So at the start of every company meeting, someone stands up and says, this is how Proximie changed someone's life, or this is how Proximie made a difference. And that's really what kind of holds true to our core. And it's what's given us a great reputation in the market. People really believe in what we're trying to do. And everyone kind of breathes, eats, drinks that kind of vision of Proximie. So I'm very proud of that and look forward to growing the team.
Awesome. Well, I think this is a nice transition into kind of getting into the details and the weeds of Proximie's business model. So can we start there? What's the business model? Who are the customers? And who are your actual customers right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Proximie works in a B2B approach. So we sell licenses to hospitals, medical device companies, and surgical societies and associations. And that is really essential because what we recognize very early on, being clinician and surgeon-led, is that one hand doesn't clap without the other. So surgeons or clinicians often are endorsed by their surgical bodies they use medical devices, and they work in hospitals. So understanding the interplay between those three stakeholders is really essential. And ensuring that we provide value for all those stakeholders ensures the sustainability and scalability of our business. And so what we often do is we enter the market through that partner in a B2B approach, and then we expand our footprint within that hospital. And we've only commercialized over the last 12 to 18 months. And we are already in over 100 institutions globally. We're due to be in about 300 by the end of this year. And we perform about 400 to 500 operations every month on our platform. And despite COVID, June is going to be our highest performance month. So it's really accelerating the footprint and the adoption. And it's because we drive value across those stakeholders. I think whilst it's great to build a business, perhaps just selling to one of those, to really build a business that's going to change and sustain and be present for many, many years is one that ensures that you're providing value to all of those. And your Proximie user is a user from, almost early residency or early medical school till the end of their career and then some. So we have users across all of that chain of the clinical journey. So it's really exciting to see that. And, we've been revenue generating for the last 18 months and looking to grow that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So how large is the actual market opportunity, and what's Proximie's competitive advantage to compared to wearables like Echo Pixel and Metavis?
I think what's clear is that there's really a vast total addressable market. I'll very briefly share one picture that might just demonstrate that. But the great thing about what we do in terms of what I described is that, you can see that, the addressable market includes both the medical device companies, but also the hospitals and the cath labs where we work. And we've been very fortunate, on our advisory team is one of the senior executive directors at JP Morgan Healthcare. So we've reviewed and verified these multiple times. And it's a multi-billion-dollar market. We obviously wanted to remain really focused early on and targeted the EU and the US specifically around key initial specialty focus areas. But this is, at least a $20 billion market. And we continue to see not only this business model repeatedly, working and continuing to generate revenue, we are starting to drive other business revenue models with other partners within the industry as well. So it's exciting to see that almost the opportunity is unlimited, but it was on us to stay quite focused early on to ensure that we produce reproducibility, scalability at a cadence and a pace that is needed. And then how do we continue to grow that and grow multiple revenue streams within that as a long-term strategy?
Awesome. Thank you. And so that leads me to my next question now. What do you see as any principal or potential risk for the company? Operational risk, any technology or legal risks related to Proximie?
Yeah, look, I think what's really important, I'd probably categorize it in a couple of areas. I think first and foremost, it's not about technology. The technology is the conduit or the medium. It's really about the value and actually the culture. Like, how are you going to change culture? Because this is quite disruptive in a different way and was a different way of doing things. So very early on, we focused on ensuring that we had thought leadership, that there was evidence behind it. And there's multiple publications, I'm happy to share with anyone who's interested after that, that's shown that the use of Proximie is actually equivalent to being there in person, that the use of telementoring can be valuable and reduce complication rates. And so we wanted to ensure that through evidence and through thought leadership, we were driving that culture change. Now, of course, COVID has catalyzed that change ever more so, but that was one really important component that we worked really early on. The second bit I think which is important is around process and implementation. Oftentimes we see companies and, with the many hats, and I've been exposed and seen other companies trying to operate within health tech and digital health. It's not so much having also just a great solution that's adding the value, but how do you implement this effectively and at scale? And so we worked very early on, and I ran a lot of internal hackathons to ensure that operational implementation and efficiency wouldn't become our Achilles. And so we wanted to make sure that we had very clear rigor around our processes, and that these processes had very good opportunity to be as light touch or as non-headcount heavy as possible. So how do we digitize these? How do we make this automated? How do we drive efficiency to reduce our cost base, reduce our ability to acquire clients really quickly? And I think those were sort of the big things that we wanted to focus on. And the final bit is, I think a lot of early companies, in that enthusiasm and excitement, it's very easy to lose focus. And it's very easy to try and do many, many things. From day one, we've had inbound interest for a number of use cases of Proximie, but we needed to focus ourselves early on to build a sort of a depth and a breadth within a particular specialty. So we focused a lot early on colorectal, robotics, cardiac, And now the floodgates have opened, and obviously COVID has catalyzed that even further. So now we're in a situation where it's ensuring that we can keep up with the demand, and it's why we're raising money to help accelerate and keep up with the inbound demand. But I would say those are sort of the main key bits that we've tried to mitigate as potential risks for the business.
And what made you choose the specialties that you, or the surgical areas that you decided to focus on first?
Many factors, but probably some of it is that these specialties are used to video or digitized based operating. So when you think about colorectal, urology, gynae, these have been operating in the robotic space and the laparoscopic space for some time. So that ability to be comfortable with head up operating was very normal for them. So it was trying to think about what were some of the early specialties that had adoption and appetite for visualization to bring that in, and those who would understand the benefits of AI and video analytics and image analytics and bring that in. And that was a really great decision doing that in orthopedics. And orthopedics, because not only is it incredibly innovative, but they're always coming up with new devices that are launching out to market that not only need mentorship and proctoring for the clinicians themselves, but also the scrub nurses who play a fundamental role within an orthopedic theater, because they're putting all the jigs together, putting all the kit together as you're bringing that. So it's about the surgical team as opposed to just the surgeon or him or herself. So those were the early bits, and now cardiology is a huge focus for us, as are many other specialties.
Awesome. And I wanted to ask a bit about the crowdsourcing of the content or the recordings. How have you seen usage of the library, Proximie's library?
It's I mean, what we're finding is, and I'll probably touch on this very briefly, but there was an old mantra in surgery, which was see one, do one, teach one. A lot of surgeons will describe that as kind of how they learn. And what Proximie is trying to drive is very much the prepare, perform, perfect. It's a continuum of education, professional development, learning, and scaling of expertise. And so the library is the core bit of that engine, because it is what drives the prepare in terms of watching other clinicians and how they do things, watching surgeons as they're doing it live, but also post-case for kind of regroup and debrief. It's the perform. I want to perform my cases, and I might want to have other people dial in. And then it's the perfect. I want to now go back and review my performance to see, in the same way that athletes are coached in that sort of video logbook, video review is essential. We've seen a huge drive in using that, and that is almost as popular as the live surgical collaboration itself. And just to give you, again, just some quick numbers here, as you can see, we've got a fairly large global footprint. We're in over sort of 35 countries, and we've done over 4,500 interactions to date. And just in this, in 2019, we were doubling quarter on quarter in users, in engagement, and also in revenue. But in the last quarter itself, we've seen over 400% growth and over 100 plus institutions onboarded. So it is moving quickly. The adoption is there, the desire is there, and it's really just a matter of us being able to keep up and deliver the Proximie experience to as many centers around the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Nadine. All right, so now we're going to get into the investment opportunity. So can you tell us, what is that? What is the investment opportunity? What are the terms? And I'll start there. It's a level set.
Yeah, no, so we decided to extend our Series A to raise a few more, probably $3 to $4 million now to help us really keep up with the demand and help us accelerate and increase our team. The opportunity is large. I mean, we've got sort of lead investors. There is a huge amount of interest, which is a pretty nice position to be in, and I feel very fortunate about that. But it's really for us at this point to try and identify who are going to be the most strategic investors that can come in and help us accelerate and meet our strategic goals. So I'd say there's opportunity still for probably $1 to $2 million for any investors that may be interested.
Awesome, thank you. And when are you targeting the close of your raise?
Well, we're hoping to close it in the next couple of weeks. As I said, a lot of investors have already expressed their interest and are there, but there's some flexibility on time to ensure that we get the right people. But we do want to try and wrap this up this side, probably early couple of weeks of July.
Got it. Thank you, Nadine. I've asked, I think I've gotten through most of my questions, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to share anything else that you think would be helpful for SVG members to know about Proximie as they consider the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for me, it's what is the most empowering about what we do is that it is the same technology that we're using here in Europe and in the US, both with hospitals, device companies, and surgeons, that is also impacting global health. I'm very passionate about global health. My TED talk that I gave a few years ago was really focused around the use of technology to scale expertise to areas around the world and really democratize care. And I feel that what's happening now is that we're able to leverage the same solutions to connect the world, to connect the surgical world. And so we have doctors in Chicago, for example, that are in their free time using the platform. They use it during their work, but then they also use it during their free time to support healthcare workers in Ethiopia to do ear assessments. And they use it during their day-to-day work with knee surgery, but then help doctors in their free time in Costa Rica to learn how to do arthroscopic procedures. And so it's very empowering when you think about not only am I benefiting my health system, my patients, my clinicians, but also those around the world. And that ability to do that and build a sustainable business on top of it, I think is an incredible opportunity, and it's one that really excites me.
Absolutely, and as a public health professional, that's music to my ears. So I thank you again, Dr. Haram, for just walking us through your company and also giving us some insight into your background and your progression to date. So again, thank you for your time, and we will share this recording and on the investment deck again with SVG members, and I'll give them your contact information so that they can follow up with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.